Travis Wayne Goodsell. With YouTube, Monday morning, banning RT and Rupley from American YouTube, at least. Putin was canceling social media platforms in Russia as he's trying to keep out any other news source and only allowing Russian news source to be played in Russia, so that Russians only get the Russian biased viewpoint about the war and about things that are going on. Now that he's arrested all the protesters, locked them up for the rest of their lives as terrorists, he can now resume without internal interference. And so we here in America, as much as we think that Putin's doing a bad thing to the Russian people by providing a biased news source, Americans fall into the same trap as the majority of Americans will stick to either conservative or liberal media platforms. And the fact that we call them conservative or liberal media already indicates that we do not have a free and fair press, because it suggests that our press is biased to either the conservative view or the liberal view. And it's now worsened as neither the conservative nor liberal press will cover the talks of Putin, his speeches, his press conferences, because Rupley and RT have been shut down here in America. And the press that we do have only cover clips that last about a minute or two from what Putin says, so that they can then base their news segment on that one line that Putin said. Again, biasing the news to bias our viewpoint. If the news wanted to be fair and liberal, or fair and not honest, they would just have a recording of Putin's full thing with English as a translator or in text below, so that we can know for ourselves what he's telling his Russian people. You've probably heard that Ukrainians who are trying to contact their Russian family are encountering the family not believing that Ukraine is under attack and that their lives are in jeopardy. Their family is not believing it because of the censorship of the press in Russia. And so, as the Russians are experiencing severe economic hardship and are about to default on their debt, Russian people are suffering greatly. And all they have is Putin saying everything's fine, nothing to see here, move along. It's America that's to blame. And we got them. We sanctioned individual people in the government. We showed them. So already you can see how the minds of Russians are different from the minds of Ukrainians, and are different from the minds of Americans, and are different from the minds of Americans who are conservative versus those who are liberal who watch conservative or liberal media. There's a thing in the art of war called divide and conquer. And when you're at war, that's among the first things you tamper with and then destroy. Purposely cause the spread of misinformation and disinformation in your enemy, and then cut them off from communication after you've confused them. That's what you saw in this war with Ukraine. Misinformation, disinformation campaign, and then boom, destroyed the radio and TV towers. And so as there's now another hospital with 400 people held hostage in Ukraine who are in the hospital and they're being held hostage. These aren't military soldiers of Ukraine being held hostage. These are hospital, sick and afflicted, likely more women who are pregnant, with little kids, who are weak and unable to fight back, who are now being held hostage. Russia doesn't know about it. And there's that communication gap. So, in the Book of Mormon, that concept is also portrayed. Laman and Lemuel were upset with Nephi because he usurped the birthright and blessing that belonged to Laman. And so, despite the evidence that Nephi is following a good spirit, Laman and Lemuel have to continue to deny that, as they want to control the Nephites, as they now are being divided, to murder Nephi and control the Nephites under their control and dominion. So they chase out the Nephites, so that you have the people of Nephi and the people of Laman and Lemuel and the sons of Ishmael. And then over the course of the book, supposedly takes centuries, the Lamanites have an eternal hatred towards the Nephites because of the communication passed down from Laman and Lemuel, their interpretation of the events that transpired from the beginning. Whereas the Nephites have a different view. And so there's a woman who wrote the Book of Laman. Hilarious. Not quite accurate, but good for you. And that helps to present people with an alternate viewpoint of people who are given communication different from others when it's biased. And you can identify biased reporting when they put in emotional words. when you're doing the news, you're supposed to state the facts. Russian soldiers took control of a hospital and are holding 400 people hostage. And you can't twist that to say they've liberated the hospital and are interrogating 400 people to root out spies. You can't tell us what they're doing. You have to report what was done. That's what news is all about. And so to say that the great and mighty Putin has conquered another city, bombing the enemy, using humans as shields. Yeah, it's all designed to trigger you emotionally, to get you to be angry at some person that they're targeting, whether it's the Ukrainian news or the Russian news or American news, whether it's conservative or liberal. Everybody's trying to get people's attention by triggering emotions. And so even on YouTube, I have to do that because you guys are programmed for that. I have to say the church is destroyed with zombie Joseph coming back from the dead, because that gets your attention rather than Joseph Smith's sermon, 19 July 1840. I put that title, nobody cares. So, yeah, I have to liven up the titles. I have to have thumbnails that shock and awe to get your attention, because you've been programmed. And so yes, it is very frustrating trying to get the word out to you. I have a person who lately has been demanding that I tell you that Joseph Smith was anti-meat. That it is the law that Mormons are not supposed to have meat. That we're supposed to be either vegetarians or vegans. She's been biased. She's wrong. And you're probably saying, no, well, the word of wisdom says that we can have meat sparingly. Yeah, good for you. You can read. But remember the part about the sons of Levi? What are they going to do in the latter days? Oh, they're going to do genealogy, Travis. That's what it's all about, genealogy. No, they're going to offer again sacrificial offerings. Meat. And the scriptures even tell us what kind of meat. Lamb. Yep. Lamb is what's for dinner. We're going to have a big old barbecue with lamb meat, lamb burgers, lamb steak, shishka lamb. And so if you get scripture taken out of context, you're going to likewise be deceived, and you're going to try to be deceiving other people because you did not understand the full context of scripture. So that's my reply to you as I deleted your comments. I'm not going to respond to that on the YouTube. And so that's the danger of the church, is that when Nelson has been getting up and telling you to stay away from social media and the media, to stick with what the church tells Mormons, they're doing the exact same thing as Putin. They're trying to dumb you down, to make you ignorant about the big picture. They don't want you to know what the church is up to. And that's where I come in, to expose it all and get the church pissed and destroy my life. Sacrificing myself. And I don't know if my meat tastes like lamb, but the Book of Mormon is very graphically horrifying in describing the last day's battle. Cannibalism, guys. In Utah News last night, a woman who has had animal problems in the past now has 16 more dead dogs. And this time it was even more horrific. Those dogs were put in bags and put in the refrigerator. So yes, I'm concerned with the biased reporting of the reporter from Fox 13 News Utah. But because I know how to weed out the bias, the emotional trigger words, I can agree with his emotional stand. That yes, that is horrifying. We shouldn't be treating animals cruelly, but we shouldn't be going around telling people that we can't eat meat. Now, don't even go there. I know, Korea, don't go there. But that concept is creeping into the church, not just with this one person who commented to me. Because if you have laws that say that no animal cruelty means we can't have meat, and that we have to be vegetarian or vegan, and if you don't know the difference, vegetarians can have animal products such as milk, and thus cheese and yogurt, whereas vegan, no, can't have anything of an animal. You gotta murder vegetables only. Then you get the animal rights activists with plant life activists, and you get to even more extremes that are just ridiculous. Because you get the people who demand that nobody have meat, forcing other people to be vegan or vegetarian like them. But then they're all for spading and neutering their pets. So it's not okay to eat what you murder, but it's okay to preemptively murder any future offspring of the animals. People just don't think. The whole concept of eating meat is for the cycle of life. Because if we caved in to the animal rights activists and their extremist views of allowing animals to roam wild, not be domesticated, not be spaded and neutered, just to let them roam. And if they murder mankind in their wild state, so be it. They're animals. Yeah. Those animal rights activist extremists are anti-human. They want to murder humans. Huh. But that's why animals eat other animals. That's why animals eat vegetation. It's a control mechanism, so that the species of vegetation or of animal life don't get out of control. And unfortunately, there have been occasions when certain animals go extinct. But don't get caught up by those pretending to use science, saying that, species are being exterminated around the earth. There's a rare species, because you're not paying attention in science class. Science has created the evolutionary theory, but the categorization from family needs to be paid attention to, because there's species like the human species, well, not human family. Messing it up myself. The human family, the canine family, feline family, etc. Okay, then you go genus, then species. Those are sub-families. So the human family, the genus, and species are sub-human. See what science has done to us? And do you see the danger of those who abuse science? Because it ruins it for religious folk who are already deceived by the religion. Because they go, aha, we knew science was evil, that we shouldn't listen to science. And wouldn't it be amazing if it were Christians who were going into science purposely to destroy it, to change it, to allow for creationism, to allow for the existence of God, and other nonsense. Don't be surprised, church is doing it. Religious freedom. And so as Mormons, there is a certain lingo that we understand that the rest of the world does not understand. We are getting communication through code, and the rest of the world is being left out of it. They don't understand it. They understand and interpret things differently than Mormons do. And it would be nice for our government to recognize that religion is not allowed to commit crime, and that they lock up the church for their blatant crimes, especially since Nelson. But they're not doing it. But now there's even a greater division of this communication gap, as the world has no clue what the church is doing, as Mormons have their own interpretation of what the prophets are doing and telling them, and then ex-Mormons likewise. there is a division, and it's for the purpose of conquering us. You need to know facts from opinion. And the person claims that they're no longer believing in religion and are trying to justify it by the one passage, not to eat meat, which doesn't exist. There's the eat meat sparingly, and then there's the one saying that those who command us not to eat meat are evil and of the devil, and then there's the sons of Levi. Plus all the other scriptures about sacrificing and how to do sacrificing properly and effectively. And there are those who misunderstand about the New Testament, where the Jesus character says, oh, no more sacrifices because it's done away with in me. Not understanding, no, it hasn't been, the sacrifices haven't been done away. The fulfillment prophecies within the manner of the sacrifices are supposed to have been fulfilled with Jesus, but then they weren't, because it's apocalyptic literature about a future that's going on right now. And so Jesus didn't do away with the 10 Commandments. Oh, you don't have to obey the 10 Commandments anymore, just me. There's that interpretation also. Dear God. So, yeah. So let me give you just one example, and then we'll end this video. It is a fact that Martin Harris wrote that he knew Joseph Smith had a rock and a hat that he dug from the well when Joseph Smith worked for Martin Harris on his farm. And so Martin Harris therefore assumes the rock and the hat was used for the translation by the gift and power of God. Just because it's a fact that Martin Harris wrote that, you can't then jump to the conclusion that Joseph Smith wrote the Book of Mormon with his rock and a hat. Even if you call it revelation as a Mormon, doesn't matter, because there's other facts that are science-based, such as Sidney Rigdon is the major author of the Book of Mormon, and as I'm the one who revealed it to you, Joseph Smith Sr. is the major author of the rewritten 116 pages of 1st and 2nd Nephi, to correspond with 1st and 2nd Samuel, which is 1st and 2nd Kings, and then 1st and 2nd Kings is actually 3rd and 4th Kings. So we have 1st and 2nd Nephi, and then 3rd and 4th Nephi. And so Joseph Smith had nothing to do with the text of the Book of Mormon. Not revelation, not dictating from a rock and a hat, not making it up off the top of his head. He had nothing to do with it. And so you can see how the church is causing the confusion upon both Mormon and ex-Mormon minds as to how they then spread this misinformation and disinformation around the world on social media. And Mormons attack us, and ex-Mormons shame them, and I try to take you both through the science and logical argument process, of which both of you believe I'm the bad guy, that I'm misinforming you. See the damage that is caused Church loves this. They're eating it up. We'll do Eat the Rich. Description below. Like and subscribe. Share.